So one time that I promoted health screenings and lifestyle changes for an individual patient, actually it's kind of, I've done it for a lot of patients, taking in their cultural background, would be blood pressure in the African American population. So when I was doing my clinicals in the Hoke ED, I had a lot of African American patients that came in with a baseline high blood pressure, and they left with that high blood pressure. They often would come in either for a hypertensive crisis, a heart condition, or something else, and we would just recognize that their blood pressure was high. So I would take the time to talk to them about, I wouldn't go for diet right off. I feel like that's a little abrasive for a lot of people. They're like, hey, I know that people, their culture involves certain types of food. And so that's not where I would start. I would start with, are you seeing a doctor regularly? Have you had your blood pressure screened? Is this a normal thing for you? Is your baseline normally pretty high? And I would educate them on why that matters. So cool, I have a high blood pressure. Don't really know what that means. So I would talk to them about, I use the garden hose because I feel like everybody can kind of understand that. So I say, when you put your finger over the garden hose, you have a smaller area that water is going through, so it's much higher pressure. I said, that's what's happening with your blood vessels. And although a hose could do that no problem, we could put a lot more water into a smaller hose and it would last a long time. I'm like, after, 10 years of that's going to be a lot of damage on that hose. And so that's what's happening in your blood vessels. And so I try to educate it on a level that could make sense to any layperson, and why it's so important to look into screening, whether it's going to Walmart and putting your arm in that, in the blood pressure cuff there right by the pharmacy, or actually going and getting a blood pressure cuff and checking it on the regular. And I would also talk to them like, are you already on medication? Cool. Are you taking it? This is important for you to take, skipping a day, things like that. And that pressure, of course, is going to be harder for the heart to push with all of that higher blood pressure. So I talk about those types of things just to encourage, just keep on it. You don't have to go anywhere formal. You don't have to go to the doctor. This is something you can check on your own. But if you have a prescription for your medications, take them. And if you aren't taking them, I usually inquire why. That's usually one of those barriers to care that they all of a sudden then open up and tell me and say, oh, well, I can't afford it, or my prescription has expired, or whatever it might be. And then that gives me a lead into being able to guide them and help them. Going back to that therapeutic communication, not telling them what to do or advising them what to do, but kind of helping facilitate, is this something, this is a concern for me as somebody who's taking care of you. Is this something you want me to help bridge the gap on? Is this something you want to help facilitate? So often in the ED, it's not something where you are very in depth in the care, but can at least offer that minor education, especially as a student, because I had more time. And then the physician, the ED physician, could then absolutely write a referral if they needed one, back to their